TV 15 on Facebook. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home. Stay tuned for the Splash Live. It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm Tyler Kieft. Thank you for joining us. Our top story today, a sad one, as summer fun on the water took an unfortunate turn over the weekend as another drowning on one of our lakes hits close to home. The Oakland County Sheriff's Marine Patrol recovered a 26-year-old man from 55-foot deep water on Cass Lake on Sunday. An emergency call was made at about 4:15 p.m., according to a report from WXYZ TV, with deputies responding in approximately 6 minutes, locating the man and beginning CPR. The man later succumbed to his injuries from the drowning incident in the hospital. After the incident, the Oakland County Sheriff's Office is once again emphasizing critical basic precautions for being out on the water to protect yourself and others from falling victim to drownings. Lieutenant Brian Burwell recently explained some of those critical precautions to me right here on the Splash Live. Here's what he had to say.
All safety equipment's important and required by the law, but, making sure you have a working fire extinguisher, making sure your horn is working, making sure those life jackets are size appropriate, making sure that, you check the label to make sure the weight and the person you're putting in that life jacket understands how to put the life jacket on. So especially with children, making sure they're in the right life jacket, making sure it fits them properly, making sure that life jacket's in good working shape. We always tell people, just like a seatbelt in the car, life jackets don't work if you don't wear them. So it's important to have those life jackets, make sure they're easily accessible. So if their emergency arises, make sure you know where the equipment is in the boat. Make sure you have a throwable device on the boat. Again, making sure right before you leave that dock, you check the weather. Make sure loved ones and family members know where you're going when you head out on the lake. Make sure that if you're heading out to the lake, people know where you're going to be, what time you plan on returning, where you're parking your vehicle at, things like that. So if you don't return in that timely manner and they do have to call the sheriff's office or the local police or fire, that we have a starting point to know where to start searching for you.
You can see the full interview with Lieutenant Brian Burwell on our website on civiccentertv.com. We go into a lot about boater safety, what to do to prepare yourself to go out on the water, some of those critical precautionary safety apparatus like life jackets and other flotation devices that you may have on your vessel, making sure that everybody is accounted for, people know where you're going to go, checking the weather, so many other details. You saw that QR code on our screen just a moment ago that will take you to all of our social media where that is also posted at this time. Oakland County Commissioner Kristen Nelson also making a statement over the weekend regarding the drowning in her hometown of Keego Harbor, posting the following image you'll see on your screen, a warning that with what seems to be consistent flat ground at our sandbars, there's going to always be a point where those sandbars either taper off or could have a hard drop off altogether, and that could potentially be very, very dangerous, leading you into deep water. You don't really know necessarily when you're out out on those sandbars, how deep the water is going to be when that sandbar does fall off. And that includes even on a lake such as Cass Lake. You wouldn't think off the top of your head that that it could go deep as 55 feet in the water, as the Oakland County Sheriff's Office reported was the depth at which the individual over the weekend was located in Cass Lake. So a quick drop-off could mean you could go underwater quickly, and that can, of course, put you in a very dangerous position, or someone else in a very dangerous position. You think about it. You suddenly go underwater, panic can set in. It's something that lifeguards are taught in their training to avoid the panic or to counteract the panic of those that they're working to save. Think about that on an individual basis for yourself or others. Something to keep in mind as you head out onto our beloved lakes this Michigan summer, both across the state of Michigan and close to home on Cass Lake and others in Greater West Bloomfield. For more information on the incident that occurred on Cass Lake over the weekend, visit the Oakland County Sheriff's Office on their Facebook page at OCSO Michigan. Again, that's facebook.com/OCSO Michigan. An extreme heat advisory remains in place for our community today through 8 o'clock p.m. with heat indices well above 100 degrees. Our county here in Oakland County in an extreme heat warning you see on your screen on civiccentertv.com. An infographic from the National Weather Service explaining the difference between extreme heat watch, more so the potential for very, very hot days and danger related to the heat, versus a warning which we're currently under, which is advising to limit your outdoor time to as much as needed. Be very mindful of children and pets outside as well, as this heat can really be severe. The heat packing a punch over the weekend, changing community plans, including a brand new event that was scheduled in Keego Harbor. The Keego Tour bike ride canceled over the weekend by Keego Harbor Parks and Rec. The 5-mile trek was scheduled to happen on Saturday afternoon, where high temperatures and high humidity made outdoor time a very high-risk activity. However, in the Facebook post announcing the cancellation, Keego Harbor Parks and Rec said that they will be rescheduling the inaugural bike tour, and you can get updates on that and many other Keego Harbor Parks and Rec events all throughout the summer, such as their block parties and so much more. Facebook.com/KH Close to home, a visit from one of the all-time great Lakers out on the gridiron. The Punisher, Brandon Davis Swain, returning home this weekend to give back to the local football community with his second annual free camp out at the Swamp. Civic Center TV's Jake Schaff has the story.
West Bloomfield High School is already hard at work preparing the next generation of elite Laker athletes. As just recently, former West Bloomfield Laker and current college football star Brandon Davis Swain returned home to his roots for the second annual Brandon Davis Swain Youth Football Camp. A chance for so many young and inspired athletes to come out and learn from one of the best, and to put that advice to good use as they prepare themselves to hopefully join Brandon on the field one day.
Oh man, well, it's definitely something we look forward to since last year. We're happy that he's back again the second time in a row. This is a free event that he's offering for the kids. There's a lot of other camps out there, but they all require, a payment. And so the fact that Brandon's still in college, as a college student, has decided to use his time and effort to come out here and give this event for the kids and have kids like my son out here for free. So we appreciate it.
What made you decide to bring your child here today to partake in this fabulous camp?
I brought him here today because I wanted him to see and have the full and true experience of what it is to be a football player. He's really in tune with football, but sometimes it's a bit hard for him just because he sees the battles and the struggles of the other kids and what they can do and what he feels like he's limited to. This is an evolving camp and it's really good for him. And I've known Brandon personally myself, so I feel like Brandon is good outreach on the kids for them to see what they could be in the future.
It's a great feeling, to come back and give to the kids. It's already a great feeling giving back. You're not on the earth for one thing, you're on the earth for multiple things, and one of them giving back to the youth. Yeah, you can't forget where you come from. That's one big thing too. Don't forget where you come from. Always look back and try to improve on how it was a couple years ago till now. So.
How important would you say camps like this are to the kids of the community to really help develop those fundamental football skills?
I think it's important because if the kids come to your camp, they probably look up to you as a college football player. So, you know, like seeing you, they probably get inspired to like do more in my eyes, like do more and probably want to play the sport more too.
Super important. I think any youth programming with good people running it are super important for the community, but it's even more special to see somebody like Brandon and his family come out and run something like this for free of charge for the kids. They're feeding the kids today. Every kid gets a free shirt. They're going to have prizes and raffles for all these kids. It's really cool to see an event like this that's being put on for free for everybody.
What do you hope is the biggest thing that your kid and all of the kids take away from this experience today?
Well, what I want them to take away, it's not easy. You got to work hard to get to that level. So I think this creates a habit. So hard work can get you there. So that's my primary take from it. And you get to meet kids from all different teams, and you get to socialize, and then a lot of them will probably be seeing each other in high school, whether on the same team or against each other. So I think it's definitely a good situation.
I feel like it's important for the community to give our kids something to do. There's a lot of things that they could be doing, and to devote their time to come here today and play football and to really show their skills and put forth the work to become something one day, whether it's an NFL player, baseball player, basketball player, what they decide to choose, they have the choice and to know that they could possibly make it in the future.
It's been a very fun and inspiring day for all of these young athletes. And maybe someday, very soon down the line, we'll be seeing them on this very same football field scoring touchdowns under the Friday night lights. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
Appreciate the report, Jake, and appreciate having Brandon come home to help so many young kids build that next generation of the football community in Southeast Michigan. So much we focus on the Laker football community, the Laker football legacy, but there's so many interconnections between our communities. Thinking back to the days of Donovan Edwards and Dylan Tatum and West Bloomfield's ongoing rivalry with Farmington and North Farmington high schools, all that back and forth, years of those kids growing up in the football community. That's what you get at a football camp like this, on top of countless memories that these kids are going to be able to make with others that have like-minded interests in the game of football. And what was a really good point that was laid out in that story was that it's a free camp. Many of these camps nowadays, you got to pay for them. You got to pay to show up. It's a lot of pay-to-play opportunities across recreational sports. Having those free opportunities and being able to interface with pros or intermediate pros, in the case of Brandon being at the collegiate level, using his NIL dollars for good, really does give back to the community. You can keep up to date with Brandon Davis Swain and the Brandon Davis Swain Foundation. Follow them on Instagram at BDS Foundation for more information. Recently, communities across Southeast Michigan recognized Waste and Recycling Workers Week here and all across the country, celebrating the people who aren't afraid to get their hands dirty and lend a helping hand in one of the core services of communities such as ours here in Greater West Bloomfield. Many of them, including trash and recycling haulers in our local area, are with Priority Waste, of course. And here to discuss this celebration with updates from your local trash and recycling provider is Matt Allen, Director of Public Relations and Government Affairs with Priority Waste, joining us on the Splash Live. Matt, thank you so much for your time today.
Tyler, thanks for giving me the opportunity to address the wonderful residents of West Bloomfield. Thank you so much.
Yeah, glad to have you on to talk about this. And as we recently did celebrate National Waste and Recycling Workers Week in the mid to late portion of the month of June, I want to talk first about those that are out on the front lines throughout the week, picking up our trash and our recycling in communities like West Bloomfield and the Greater West Bloomfield area. Now, just how tough is that job that people maybe don't understand when they put their trash out on the side of the road at the beginning of the week and they come home later on in the day and it's gone and they just rinse and repeat every week?
You know, what's funny, Tyler, I thank you for the setup, actually. For less than the price of a latte, we haul your waste away, your recycling, and your compostables every week. And so in the grand scheme of things, it's a pretty simple task, but there's a lot of complicated parts to it. So we appreciate people's patience when weather delays or mechanical issues have presented delays in service over the last year or so. We've improved greatly during that 90-day period of transition we talked about last summer into the fall. And I've got some really good news to share for you and the viewers today about some of the promises that we made last year about new trucks replacing the worn out fleet that we bought. We certainly took the time to spend $20 million of investment to stabilize the fleet that we purchased from the previous provider. And it was beyond baling wire and bubble gum, I can assure you. There was a lot of money that was invested just to get us through the hump, which was to the new trucks that were coming, which we knew would take 14 to 18 months to have them manufactured and delivered. So we appreciate our workers working 8, 10, and 12-hour days through the month of May, which is the heaviest month of composting and organics that go out, believe it or not. The 35 days that start somewhere in the first week to the second week of May and runs into June. 40% of all the compost or organic matter that's disposed of throughout the entire year happens during that 35 to 40-day period. So it presents quite a challenge for not just priority waste, but for any waste hauler here in Michigan and elsewhere in the Midwest. The spring growth, the big heavy growth, it's wet growth. It's also when everything's going to try to go to seed. It's the heaviest period. Everyone's cleaning out their garages. They're cleaning out their flower beds and their yards and pruning and so on. There's a lot there. So it is a heavy task, and it happens every year. So we didn't shy away from the reality of it this year, and we were behind a few days, but we kept on it day after day after day with Saturday recoveries. And we're kind of coming out of that period right now, which is fantastic. It normally happens about a week before the 4th of July, traditionally. But the good news I want to share with folks is our workers are out there, and we appreciate the people that offered water and, in some cases, other things besides water to our workers during National Garbage Man Appreciation Week. And the actual day was last Tuesday. And then we did some things, shared some appreciation letters and voicemails and texts and so on that people had given from West Bloomfield and surrounding communities for our workers. We do appreciate them. They do the unrecognized task every day, just like the post office, you know. Rain or snow, sleet, dark of night, we're still out there doing our task, which is to pick up your organics, your recycling, and clearly your garbage. So we appreciate all of that. We love being part of the community in that regard. Our dialogue with the township has been fantastic, Tyler. The leadership there with Jonathan Warshay, the supervisor, and so on has been excellent. Although we didn't shy away from the reality of things, we were certainly willing to communicate and so on. But I will tell, here's the great news. What we thought we wouldn't get until Christmas time, November, December, which was new trucks. We had ordered dozens and dozens of them when we did the transition, and we just had to be patient while they were being manufactured. Our CEO didn't have a magic wand, but he was able to stay on top of it month after month diligently, trying to figure out a way to get these trucks delivered earlier, even if it was just 90 days. The good thing is last week we took 7 brand new trucks. Today we're taking delivery of 7 more. We're sending drivers down to Ohio where the manufacturer is to bring on 7 more. And then by the end of this week, we'll have 21 plus the 7 from last week, or about 28 trucks. And by the 4th of July, the week after the 4th of July, we should have 50 brand new trucks up here to get rid of 50 tired and worn out vehicles that we bought during the purchase from the previous provider. So the relief is coming, Christmas in July. It's coming in July. So we'll be able to put them into the fleet and into service. So communities like West Bloomfield that have still some of the old lime green trucks out there with our stickers on them, those are going to go away. You're going to start to see brand new Corrados and rear packers in our communities like West Bloomfield, Bloomfield Township, Waterford, White Lake, Shelby Township, Rochester. All the communities along the M59 corridor are going to start seeing new trucks inserted into the fleet. And the old ones are going away, which is going to be tremendous to helping keep us on time, limit the number of hydraulic blowouts that have been happening, which we regret, but we deal with them as they happen. So the good news is the cavalry figured out a way to get here early. So we're very happy to announce that to all of our communities.
Yeah, it's really good news, and certainly will help to alleviate some of the delays that have been seen in the past year or so since this relationship began with Priority Waste taking over for Green for Life, or GFL, in many of our local communities, including here in West Bloomfield. Matt Allen is with us from Priority Waste. Matt, it's no secret that among the frustrations, not only those breakdowns that cause those delays, communication also something that many residents and even members of the township board in West Bloomfield had some gripes about over the last 12 months or so. What improvements have been made to communication systems and that dialogue that often happens between trash and recycling providers and individual residents as well?
So West Bloomfield is a quarterly billing community, right? So not unlike many of the townships that stretch along the M59, Highland Road, Hall Road corridor. There's a lot of quarterly billing townships. In other words, townships that have, unlike a city that does single payer. In other words, it goes on the tax bill and it gets just paid in 12 monthly increments to the provider, meaning priority waste per the contract. In townships, a lot of them are still doing quarterly billing where we have to send out a paper bill or by preference, an electronic bill to a resident. And now in West Bloomfield, you've got about 22,200 plus households which receive a quarterly bill. And with that, every time the quarterly billings go out and all townships are on the same cycle, we have a huge spike in call volume for people that are confused, or they may have moved, or they missed a back payment, or a credit wasn't there. And it creates call volume. And most of the call volume comes between 8 a.m. and 10:30 in the morning. And currently we have, as I checked before our interview today, we have about 1,780 calls in the queue. Now, we don't have 1,780 people to answer the phone, as you might imagine. But we do, we're working Saturdays, and we're working 4 hours of overtime each day through these quarterly billing periods to try and get return calls back to customers. Now, there's two things that are really helpful. Don't hang up without leaving your information, because there's no way for us to get back with you. And we get these, one of the refrains that we hear is that, oh, nobody answers this phone and nobody calls me back. Well, if you don't leave information for us to either email you or call you back, we can't. And then the other thing is, a lot of people, and we're all guilty of it, they'll see a number that they're not familiar with and they won't pick up when we call them back. And that creates frustration as well. So we're able to solve most billing issues, either set you up with a portal so that you can do auto pay through your internet portal, or pay your bill or correct a payment bill, okay, with whatever payment you prefer. We normally are able to do that within 2 minutes. What people get frustrated is that they're all calling at the same time, like, I want to get this done first thing in the morning so I can go on with my day. And they're like, nobody called me back today. Well, we're at 1,700 calls an hour. We're not going to be able to get back to people until the next day. So we're trying to get everyone done in real time based on the number of people that we have, which are many, and then try to get everybody called back within 24 to 48 hours to get them done during peak. Once peak is over with in all the townships, it's not so bad, quite frankly, to get through. I will say that last week, and you're not the only community that had this, because of the severe weather incidents that we had, so many in succession, our phone system and power went out, not unlike many areas. Yeah. We're not immune from that either. And that caused the queue to re-queue everyone. So when everything came back to service, 14, 16 hours later, I think it was, when everything came back online, because they worked through the night to get that corrected, instead of having 1,700 calls, there was like 12,000 or something like that, which of course, many of the redundant ones, they get filtered out. It does correct itself. However, that did take a process of that day, and then we had to get back to calling everybody back. So that has been pretty much whittled down, but we probably have another day of those backlog calls. So we'll be back to normal operations probably by midweek, probably by Wednesday morning of this week. We should be back to totally normal on the call volume. So we appreciate people's patience and understanding, but we're not immune from acts of God or weather incidents either.
Of course. And outside of course, these moments like when we have severe weather and that causes some backlog to happen, when there are just average run-of-the-mill delays, or even something like Mother Nature getting in the way and that causes a delay where people may not have their trash picked up on a regular date, how is that communicated to communities, and how maybe has that changed with all this new technology being employed by your company to make that communication smoother, more efficient, and make sure that residents know, hey, if my garbage day is Tuesday and there's going to be a delay, that I know when I should be putting my trash out?
So we put messages out on social media, although that's a horrible way to communicate professionally. So we don't do that as our main communication. We leave that up to the townships to put it on their web pages. All the communities that we service, of the 128 communities that we service, the official means to communicate, other than legal documents, obviously, to the communities is now through an electronic means. So they're not sending out letters and postcards because of obviously the many days of delay in order to getting those messages out. So they're putting it on the web pages. What I will tell residents of West Bloomfield is, if At 6 o'clock when you come home from the office or your employment or wherever you are, and your cans are there along with everybody else in the neighborhood, they're still there. That's because we're behind. Leave them out because we have been running all the way up until our contractual cutoff, which is 8 p.m. Now, some of the townships will allow us to go as long as it's daylight hours so we can operate safely. We've gone beyond that because of the volume, okay? The first priority is trash, second priority is recycling, and then bulk, and bulk is right in there with the trash and so on, but that would be the third, the rear pack trucks and the composting. We've also been blitzing on Saturdays for catch-up. So what I tell residents is, don't wheel it back up to the house because you're going to get frustrated unless you don't want it to go out until next week. Leave it there because what we do is if we do have to get cut off because the landfills shut down at a certain time, okay? So we can pack some of the stuff in our transfer stations, but not everything. So we do have to stop just because we're unable to continue at a certain point in the day, okay? What they want to do is they'll mark where they left off in West Bloomfield Township on whatever street, Glen Hollow or something like that, right? And then in the morning, they start right back off where they were to finish, say, the Monday route on a Tuesday morning so they can carry on with the Tuesday. We don't like to push routes. Nobody likes that. But sometimes it's a necessity due to volume, vehicular failure, weather incidences, labor, so on and so forth. Those do happen from time to time. And as I say, during the heavy period, it's more likely than a normal period of time. And we pick up where we left off. So we like to do it that way. So leave them there. And we'll get to them. Now, if you're the one-off, everybody on my street except for me got picked up except for me. That may be the case. It may not be the case. You can certainly call into the township and leave a message with them. It'll be communicated to the logistics driver coordinator, the LDC, that works here in Priority, the liaison to the township, and they will figure out a way to pick up that. They'll look at the cameras to see whether or not it was a late put out. In other words, it wasn't our fault for missing it, but the resident happened to put it out late. We serviced the neighborhood, say at 10 in the morning. They didn't wheel it out until noon. Well, that's called it's not a missed stop. It's a late put out. There's a difference, right? So we try to limit those. We try to educate through a direct dialogue when we message back to them. The township does that as well. We have a good working relationship with the DPW in West Bloomfield. So we try to communicate directly to the residents when there are one-offs. But if it's a whole missed street, especially at the end of the day, leave it there. We're going to come back and get it the next day before we proceed on with the next day's route. That's been the standard procedure that we've had since we did the transition because it was the only way to try and be consistent and fair because we don't like to push routes from one week to the next. Nobody likes that. So if it's a day delay, we try to get to it to the next day.
Matt Allen is with us, the Director of Public Relations and Government Affairs with Priority Waste. You can get more updates, more information, and ways to communicate on prioritywaste.org. You can also find more information.
.com,
my apologies. Yes, it is .com. I looked right down and saw it on my notes. The moment I said that, it didn't register in my brain. Prioritywaste.com. You can follow them on Facebook at Priority Waste as well. Matt, we know that it was a big transition from GFL to Priority Waste, taking over so many communities across Southeast Michigan, West Bloomfield being one of those, and on the larger side of those communities with those growing pains, with new vehicles and switching out some of the old ones that were ready for their sunset and their retirement. Now to today, getting a little bit more consistency in there. When can people maybe expect there to be more general consistency across the board, across southeastern Michigan, and see this transition start to come to a close and more regular operations with Priority in their community here in West Bloomfield and throughout southeast Michigan?
So great summary question, Tyler. I appreciate that. So, here we are. We're coming up on the 1 year mark, right? July 1st, which was the transition, which was a holiday week last year in 2024. The good news, as I said earlier in our interview here, it's Christmas in July. Those new trucks that we ordered immediately, we thought, 14 to 18 months, which would be sort of November, December timeframe. We've been able to get 50 of the trucks that we ordered are going to be delivered by the second week of July. So the consistency, we're coming down to the end of the heavy period of the compost right now anyway, but the trucks being delivered, cameraed with our technology package, and then being put on the road has already started as of last week, 7. As I said, 7 more are going to get delivered today. Our guys are working overnight in our shops to get them fitted with our technology package to get them out on the road in service. So The first 90 days of a new truck in operation, believe it or not, is when we find all the kinks and quirks from the factory, the stuff that wasn't done maybe perfectly right from the factory. So we're tweaking the trucks along the way. But the best part is they're here, they're brand new. They're going to have the latest technology package on them, and they're going to be going out for allocations to retire the oldest trucks in the fleet. These first 50 are going to go a long way to bringing us to consistency, because the older trucks are going down more and more and more. And when you're doing heavier, longer days, you have more frequency of failure, which only compounds the logistical problem, right? So the new trucks are going to help out tremendously. Now, we're not just done with those 50 trucks. We had ordered more, where we were able to get front-loaded 50, so we'll have them here by the middle of July. So that's going to be tremendous help. Really, it is. And then there's more that are going to come later in the year. So we're not done with just 50. We're going to continue this. And then our plan is to be clean, neat, and organized the way that we do it. We've gone through this disjointed period, and we appreciate people's patience, even when it ran out. We appreciate people recognizing, as they did last week, Garbage Man Appreciation Week, or the day of the year. And we appreciate them every day when we pick up their cans, and we try to do a consistent job. So to your point, the relief is coming. Middle of July, these trucks are all going to be in service. The new trucks, the 50 trucks, will be here, and they'll be allocated across communities across Southeast Michigan. It's going to help a lot. And then there's more trucks that are coming. Our goal was to get rid of all of that old stock, either have it auctioned off, parted out, or scrapped. And that process is started as of last week, which is going to be a tremendous relief to all these communities.
Yeah, it does take quite a lot of time to go and replace vehicles that are unreliable in a very vehicle-heavy industry like waste hauling and trash services such as
Tyler,
Priority
if I just could, just so that people understand, just like and every municipality understands this, and so does the township, God bless them. When you order a new aerial platform fire truck, that's over $1 million vehicle, right? It takes up to 3 years to get it delivered from the time you put a deposit down on those things. Garbage trucks, traditionally in the industry, the simplest garbage trucks, they cost anywhere from $260,000 to $320,000 depending on the equipment package. Okay, and they take 14 months at a minimum, and up to 18 months to get the simple ones done. And then the Corrados, which are the $400,000 to $500,000 vehicles, depending on configuration. Okay. Those can take up even longer. But, we understand the strains on the manufacturers in America. We only buy American, of course. And we want specialized vehicles. Garbage trucks are just weird apparatus. They just are. They're big, they're bulky, they're clunky. They got all these different electronics and hydraulics and so on and so forth. And it takes time to get them made. It gets time to tune them in when we get them, because we use the latest technology out there with the robotics and the joysticks handling. So it makes it easier on the drivers so they can have more longevity in the field. We're not buying junk. We're buying the best stuff that's out there, and we're taking delivery of it, and we're putting into service as quickly as we can.
Yeah, you hopefully will love the results, but to get there, you got to get the growing pains along the way and have that patience in tow as well. Matt, thank you so much for your time and giving us an update on where things are at with priority waste in our community.
Tyler, you and your colleague Kevin can call anytime. We love West Bloomfield. We really appreciate the community there. And hopefully when you see that brand new shiny yellow truck coming down the road, ask them to toot the horn.
Absolutely. That we will do. PriorityWaste.com is the place to go for more information. You can also follow them on social media. They're on Facebook at Priority Waste. Before we take a break, I do want to give that information again, the advice from Matt Allen about if you do get in contact with Priority Waste about an issue you're having related to your trash and recycling or other waste pickup. One, stay on the line. Make sure you at least give your info to an operator or through their system so that they have callback information if they're not able to get to your call. And then, look, you may get in the day or two or so on after that initial phone call, get a call back, and maybe from a number you don't recognize. So at least consider answering those calls so that when they do call back, you can open that line of communication. And when in doubt, talk to the township, talk to your municipality, and their liaison will open the lines of communication as well. Appreciate Matt's time. We'll take a break on the Splash Live. Plenty more to get to on the other side. A bittersweet farewell to a fan favorite in Greater West Bloomfield. Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
Hi, I'm Marcia Gershenson, and I'm one of the Oakland County Commissioners that's lucky enough to represent West Bloomfield. And I'd like to congratulate Civic Center TV on having 1 million viewers on YouTube. I mean, that's incredible. Your viewpoint and your authenticity is so valuable. So congratulations on 1 million views. I'm proud to be one in a million.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
Find local municipal meetings at our program schedule on civiccentertv.com. Find when your meetings air live or when they're replaying on our Civic Center TV live stream. Find it all at civiccentertv.com and click schedule at the top of the screen. And now, back to The Splash Live.
Live, local, social. Welcome back to The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm Tyler Keefe, sitting in with you today on our program. And of course, always with you on civiccentertv.com and across our social media. Follow us on Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, and you can find us pretty much everywhere else, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube at Civic Center TV. Recently, a bittersweet farewell to one of Greater West Bloomfield's most beloved restaurants, The Grill, located on Orchard Lake just north of Middlebelt in Sylvan Lake, closing its doors after over 20 years in business as owner Vicky Kirker sets off into retirement. Customers and staff alike said their final farewells on a busy final weekend at the restaurant, enjoying one last meal at the fan favorite eatery and sharing memories of nearly a quarter century in one of the most cherished places communities go, where everybody knows your name.
I actually lived in Sylvan a few years ago, and when I moved here, I didn't know anybody. And one of the first events that I partook in was at the Grill, and I met all wonderful women, friends that I cherish today. It actually changed my life to be able to come here and meet Vicky and feel a part of a community.
I've been coming here, my agency is 30 years old, and I've been coming to the Grill for at least 10 years, and I sit right up front, so because all the ladies I know, the food is, I've never gotten anything that was bad. Not one thing.
The Sylvan Grill will be really missed because I've been coming here almost every weekend for the last 7 or 8 years. It is a family meeting place. We've had celebrations here. We have weekly luncheons here. There's going to be a huge hole in this community because this place represents family to me.
Of course, the Grill's success wouldn't be possible without Vicky Kirker's guidance at the helm, as she's formed those ever-important bonds throughout the community. And here's what residents had to say about Vicky's presence in Sylvan Lake and her lasting impact on the community in these 24 years that the Grill has been open.
I'm going to be sad that, that they're leaving, but I understand. Sometimes you got to just go. You have to close and you have to do something for yourself. But I'm going to miss these guys. The food is like homemade, so close to homemade. So I'm sad. I'm happy for her, but I'm sad for me.
She's kept this place a healthy, beautiful, vibrant restaurant with really high standards. So we will miss that energy that they have brought to this community.
Yeah, I mean, it's really an exciting time for Vicky and her family to be able to do some fun things for the future. And it is a bummer to say goodbye to it. I've enjoyed many dinners here with so many special people, but I think, when one door closes, another one opens. So.
A fond farewell indeed after 24 years of the grill operating on Orchard Lake in Middle Belt in Sylvan Lake. Joining us now on the Splash Live is the longtime owner of the grill herself, Vicki Kirker. Vicki, congratulations on 24 years and, of course, on your retirement. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Glad to have you on. It was a busy last couple of weeks after the announcement that the grill would be closing. Of course, it closed over the weekend before we have you live with us on today's show. Just take us through, from your perspective, the outpouring of love to the grill over the last couple of weeks following the announcement.
My customers have been amazing. On Facebook alone, there were 80 or so testimonials. Ex-employees, people I haven't seen in 24 years, came back to tell us what an impact we had had on their lives and what we meant in the community. It was pretty amazing. It was an emotional week. I'm happy to be retiring and sad to be closing the store in my life because I've loved it. My customers, my staff, we were family, and they will be missed.
What do you think built that sense of community or family as you described?
Pardon?
What do you believe is the basis that ultimately built that sense of community and family at the grill?
I have a very friendly staff. I care about my customers. My most important thing was always the customers. The food was secondary. I wanted people to be able to come here and feel like they were at home. And I think they did.
That's certainly the case. You mentioned the testimonials on social media, all those comments, people pouring out their memories. I mean, in what way do you believe that the grill maybe played a role in all these changes over the years, all these ebbs and flows of the community? What do you think made the grill such a special place to people to go along that journey with their friends, with their family, introducing people to Sylvan Lake and the Greater West Bloomfield area?
We were stable. We had favorites on the menu that people could count on. They could come here and they would know they were going to get the best walleye in town, or my butter rum syrup with crunchy French toast, and just all the special things that we had that we always had. And people loved that. They knew they could count on us to be consistent, to be friendly, to be just a great place to go.
Vicki Kirker is with us, a longtime owner of the grill in Sylvan Lake that closed its doors recently after 24 years serving our community, a fan favorite for sure, and so many people with an outpour of love for Vicki, for her entire team over at the grill, and much deserved congratulations after 24 years. I want to dial it back to 24 years ago because we've talked about the impact it's had on you, the impact it's had on the community, but what drew you to this area and ultimately to open a restaurant like the grill right here in our community?
Okay, I've been in the restaurant industry for something like 40 years. And my husband at the time, we lived over behind Our Lady of Refuge, so we were in that area. We drove past this restaurant all the time to go to our restaurant we had in Rochester Hills. And one day we just stopped in and said, would you like to sell this? It was close to home and thought it'd be a great place to do business. So that's how we ended up here. And that was December 18th of 2000. So it was a while ago.
And he builds so many memories over the years and so many different connections. People, whether they go through there and they're working the summer job waiting tables, or they go there every single week for family dinner or to get together with a friend for a cup of coffee, you build those memories over the course of years and you see that journey develop for so many different people. And so as you reflect on the challenges that you faced over the years, what to you makes this journey so special and something that you can look back on from the past 24 years, those 40 plus years in food service, and say, this is a lasting legacy that I can be proud of?
Sometimes it was the challenging years that made me look back and say, oh my God, we did that. COVID, oh my God, we did that. And that was not easy. I think I was on here a couple times during that time. Staff that have been with me for over 28 years, their family, it's those kind of impacts. Customers that I've watched first little babies grow up and are now out of college. It's just been an amazing journey. I've had watched customers pass, get married. Everything in everyone's life, you celebrate the big moments, you celebrate the little moments, you cry with them. It's a lovely industry to be in. I would do it again.
And it's always bittersweet to say goodbye to a staple of the community like this. Of course, it's for a good reason. You get to celebrate a long career in the restaurant business, a successful career. You brought so many people together, and you absolutely deserve to celebrate that. There is the bittersweet element of it, though, because you lose that favorite place that people go in the community to get a good meal, to enjoy some quality time with people. And we think about today, so much of what we do are on our devices. You know, where it's over Zoom like we're talking now, or it's texting on the phone during the day with people and catching up maybe that way. Why are places like the Grill, that's been here for 24 years, that's been that gathering place, so important to individuals and communities even today?
Oh, thank you so much.
Why do you believe that these places that you physically go are still important today in 2025, Vicki?
Because we're stable and you have a chance to gather with people. People are on their phones all the time on their apps, and I'll even see them come out to eat and, couples, and they don't look at each other. They're just busy scrolling or texting. But to have a place to go where you know other people, where you see your neighbors, people would just stop by and visit other tables because they knew them. My bar was like Cheers. Definitely everybody knew your name up here. You need that. We've lost that connection with people, with our phones, with all this technology. And places like this give you a place to connect again. And you know you're going to see your neighbor here because they eat on Mondays and Wednesdays, and this one eats on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It makes that connection that we absolutely need. And we've lost.
Yeah, and you see it, and you see the impact in all the outpouring, people coming into town from all different areas, whether they're still in the Greater West Bloomfield community, or they've moved to nearby communities, or they just haven't been there in a while. They come back to say one final farewell, to look back on those fond memories, and that's such a huge impact to have on people's lives. So Vicki, as you prepare, as you now are in the retirement phase, and you do the final elements of ultimately winding down the Grill before its own transition in Sylvan Lake, what's your lasting message for the community here as you say your goodbye and move on into retirement?
Thank you. Thank you for the support of the last 24 and a half years. Thank you for the friendships. Thank you for the love. Thank you for sharing your families with us. You will not be forgotten, and I'm not going anywhere. I'll still be around the area. I live here. So you're stuck with me. And that's it.
Well, that is something we can all be very happy about, to still be able to see you around, Vicki, and to continue to be able to thank you for making a place where people can go and have an enjoyable meal, but even better, really enjoyable company with your team and with their neighbors across Sylvan Lake in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Thank you so much for joining us today, for taking the time out of your busy schedule, and congrats on 24 years.
Thank you.
A fond farewell to a beloved restaurant in Sylvan Lake. Vicki Kirker, a longtime friend of our programming here at Civic Center TV, such a huge supporter of us during the pandemic with the MegaCast, as we tried to help support her and other restaurants, and she tried to support other restaurants that, much like hers, were staples of our community as well over these past 24 years. All those trials and tribulations, all the really good memories, the lifelong memories that have been made there. It was a place that, growing up in West Bloomfield, I frequented very often with my dad and my brother. I come from a family of divorce, and so every Thursday would be a day I'd get together with my brother and my dad, at least for dinner, and the Grill was a place we went very calmly. So it's a place that so many people have those kinds of memories with over the years. I want to thank Vicki one more time and congratulate her. If you haven't had the chance to do so, like she said, you'll see her around. Plenty of more opportunities for that as we reflect on 24 years of the Grill. Congratulations on a long run and a huge impact on our community. Last week in Greater West Bloomfield, a celebration of history and freedom as Greater West Bloomfield came together for the annual Juneteenth Jamboree. There were plenty of activities that blended fun with learning about one of the most important days in the Reconstruction era of the United States. Thais Leverett and I had a chance to speak with Sonia James from the West Bloomfield School District about how they used the celebration to spark conversations on equality, freedom, and diversity, as well as how history informs how our local schools discuss these topics in and outside of the classroom.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here and to share what we're doing in the West Bloomfield Schools. So thank you for having me.
And the schools play a huge role in helping to inform about not only the history behind days like Juneteenth, but why that history is so important to us today and in a community like West Bloomfield that happily embraces its diversity. How do you manage that relationship between your office and the school district, the educators, and of course, the students having heavy involvement?
Well, that's a great question. It takes all of us as a community to make this work. In West Bloomfield, that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on as a district. Just making sure that educators have exactly what they need in terms of information, resources, and support, as well as our students. We are a very diverse community. We are a very diverse school district. And to honor, acknowledge, to celebrate, to inform everyone is our ultimate responsibility as an educational institution. So it is huge for us to be a part of the diversity task force so that not only are we celebrating Juneteenth, but we are also acknowledging and honoring and celebrating the diversity within our community. And who's our school district? Our community members. So it is just it's a revolving door. You know, as kids come in to the school district, as kids move into the community, it is one of those things that we want to make sure that everyone sees themselves in all that we do. They know that they're valued, they know that they're heard, and they know that we care about them individually and collectively.
Thank you so much for that message. You know, I know that we, living in today's society, know that there are significant changes with how we're celebrating diversity, how that has impacted the educational system, and you've been able to successfully navigate a lot of those things. Can you share a little bit more about what that journey has been like for you, in particular, bringing us to celebrate Juneteenth here today?
I would say that we have a very supportive district. We have a very supportive community, which makes my role a whole lot easier to navigate that. It doesn't mean that it doesn't come with some hiccups along the way, but what it does mean is that we put our students and we put our community members and we put that on the forefront of all that we do. So the things that are in the best interest of each and every student that collectively supports all of our students, whether it's in our curriculum, whether it's through our arts, in our music, and the things that we do, our athletics, we want to make sure that we have something for everyone. And to ensure that it is opening up and educating each other about each other, if that makes sense. And it's a large part of my role in terms of supporting teachers with resources, supporting teachers with professional learning, meeting with parents, having organizations such as the Diversity Task Force, where we have a presence in that we can learn from the Diversity Task Force has an insight to what we're doing in schools. And we also have an insight as to what we're doing in the community. So it's that dual role. And it's not one in isolation, it's what we do collectively. And that's what makes West Bloomfield so unique. That's what's so unique about us.
Absolutely, I agree. I have been living in West Bloomfield since 2014. maybe 15. I'm getting old.
Okay.
But that is one thing that I celebrate so much about our community. I mean, you can have a friend of a multitude of different cultures, but more importantly, you can eat food from a multitude of different cultures right here in West Bloomfield. And it's been such a joy to see my kids move through the West Bloomfield school system. I have 2 graduates of West Bloomfield High School. I have someone entering into the middle school. I'm terrified. I'll be calling you, Dr. James, every day. But if you could share a little bit more with us about some of the things that you see on the horizon for students in the diversity space. What are you looking to do when the school year resumes? Are there certain programs that you're thinking about, and how we as community members can support your efforts?
That's a great question. And that's something that I'm taking this summer to work and plan. But we do have a group at the high school, Voice of Equality. That's a group of students at the high school that they go into the elementaries and they do a lot of inclusive and diversity work with the students and teaching students on how to create that sense of belonging early on and how to respect and honor the different religions that we have in the district, the different ethnic groups that we have, the different beliefs that, that all come together. And when I think about us as a district, it's continuing the work, it's continuing to stand in on the belief that we are a district that believes in our students, that we're going to do what's best for our students. And we are a district that respects, honors, celebrate diversity, inclusion within our school district, in creating that sense of belonging. Having a place, again, I'm going to continue to say, where every student knows that they're seen, that they're heard, that they're valued for who they are. And whoever walks through the school doors, that in all that we do, that we're being inclusive and not excluding anyone, and having a place for each and every one in our district.
Absolutely. Well, that sentiment comes across very clear in West Bloomfield School District, and thank you for your efforts in that space.
Absolutely. And how you can support as a community member is to continue to support different programs and celebrations such as this, as well as coming into our district to help honor and celebrate and learn more about what it is we truly do on a daily basis for all of our students.
Sonia James is with us, the Executive Director of Educational Equity and Inclusion in West Bloomfield School District, and joining us today as we celebrate Juneteenth in the Greater West Bloomfield area and all across the United States. Here in West Bloomfield, we celebrate, of course, with a Juneteenth Jamboree. Sonia and her team from the school district, one of many organizations helping out today to spread the good word about Juneteenth and celebrate freedom here in our community as well. Sonia, you've mentioned some of the ways that the school district incorporates diversity education into its curriculum. I'd imagine on a day like today, it's really easy to incorporate the historical elements of this and the celebration into that education. But how do you take it in a different direction when you don't have something that is catapulting the conversation, like the celebration of Juneteenth or the West Bloomfield annual Black Expo or another event, to still connect the students into this melting pot of a community that we have here in Greater West Bloomfield?
And that's when I talk about that belonging piece and that inclusivity, it's bringing in those resources for our staff members. It's the professional learning that we have that's specific to how do we continue to be culturally responsive to all of our students, culturally responsive in all of our the videos that we may show, the textbooks, that being very intentional in the textbooks and the literature that we read, so that it does not exclude any, or it highlights one specific group, but it is inclusive of all. And when we have celebrations that honors and respects the different cultural groups within our school district, it is promoting each and every one equitably. And monthly, we put out a monthly some more for our staff members. And in that monthly some more, it talks about the different celebrations that acknowledges our students' background. And I also leave it open so that I I have the title of Executive Director of Equity and Inclusion, but I'm not the only one that has expertise in the different backgrounds. So I leave it open that if parents see that I didn't highlight one of a group, or if there's some things that would add value to it, it's open so that I continue to learn more and help our staff learn more and help our students to be honored and celebrated the same way and recognized. And it's about the, it's exposure, it's the learning, and it's having an open mind to the world around us, and it's having an open mind to each and every student. And again, as a district, it's our responsibility to ensure that every student is seen, valued, and heard.
It's tough to understand something that you're not aware of. That's part of what education is all about. Sonia, I want to thank you for your time today, joining Thais and I on this special edition of the Splash Live. Anything else you'd like to say as we celebrate Juneteenth in Greater West Bloomfield?
I would just like to say to the community, come on out, celebrate, learn more about Juneteenth. There are different vendors here. There's a lot, even though we're indoors, we're a little more intimate this year, but the celebration continues. So we welcome each and every one with open arms to come out and celebrate with us today. Let's celebrate freedom, liberation, and justice in West Bloomfield. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Sonia James, the Executive Director of Educational Equity and Inclusion, joining us from the West Bloomfield School District on today's edition of the Splash Live. You can see our full Juneteenth Jamboree special edition of the Splash Live on demand as we speak on CivicCenterTV.com. All the special segments and conversations from a fantastic day out at the Civic Center complex. That's our show. I want to remind you that television that's close to home continues always online on CivicCenterTV.com and across our social media. Big thank you to our entire crew at Master Control for making this possible, and to you, of course, for joining in. For our entire team, I'm Tyler Kieft, live, local, social. This has been the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.